Good evening and welcome on to Equestrian Connect's first very own interview. And today I am being joined by Fulcher from Mindset Equestrian. It's truly an honor to have you on tonight. What is your favorite part of being an riding instructor and a judge?
Good evening, Ivan, and thank you for having me. First off, I want to thank you and Equistride Connect for having me on and all that you are starting to do as you develop your business as well. The question is two parts. What are my favorite parts about judging and what are my favorite parts about instruction? They do go hand in hand. Both are a little bit of a retirement plan for me, and both provide education for me and my clientele. My favorite part about both judging and instruction via Mindset Equestrian, changing our mindset a bit, is helping people realize they're not alone, they're not less than, and that we have all either experienced it and can work through it together in a community, an equestrian community. My favorite part about judging is seeing people accomplish things, start to learn their way through the test, start to learn that one kind of leads to the other, that it's showing off your training, right? As far as coaching and being able to be a clinician, which is kind of where life has taken me, I get to meet so many different people, different riders, different partnerships, gated, quarter horse, Arabs, Western dressage, eventers, and they're all wanting the same thing. They're all wanting that harmony and connection and understanding with themselves and their horse. And I love that. I miss that within myself in my partnerships, but I get to kind of live vicariously through you all.
What are your key factors when teaching someone who has been riding for a long time but stopped during COVID and wanting to get back into riding or take riding lessons?
Your question's very relatable. Not just COVID, but especially I work majority with adult women, which is obviously a majority of the equestrian community. Sorry, Ivan. But you'll find that women take time off for one reason or another. They either had to for school or life changes. They took a step back. They took a pause. They life happened, right? And I feel like anytime someone is getting back into anything, it's very important to remind them they'll never be where they were. And the feeling that they have in their head that they once were at is never going to happen again. We're only moving forward. We get to find great feelings going forward. We get to have a great experience going forward. So that's one. Because you'll find that women especially will feel very defeated that they aren't getting it or getting that feeling back, instead of positively accepting that they're going forward and that they get to create new feelings. The next step is I feel that people want it in a hurry. Always. We always do, right? I want to lose weight in a hurry. I want to get in shape in a hurry. I want to do all the things right now because life is short or I don't have that much time. And that can also have people rush into the wrong horse, the wrong lesson program, and become very, very sore, if not painful, within their body because they're overly pushing instead of letting it gradually happen. I wish more people would treat themselves like they would treat their horses and slowly build up. Allow themselves. And I think the word allow is really important with all of my teaching. Allow yourself to relax into the horse. Allow yourself time to brush your horse and take a pause. Allow yourself to slowly get back into it and allow yourself to shift.
How do you prepare yourself as a trainer, coach, and riding instructor when going into a clinic?
How do I prepare to go into a clinic? Well, I make sure I'm always hydrated. I always have water with me. If I get picked up from an airport, I always ask to go to a grocery store so I can get water because I think hydration is key. I do have headsets. However, I don't use them because as a clinician, very rarely use them. As a clinician, I like to be able to talk to the crowd as well because Mindset Equestrian is about a community, and not necessarily individual. However, I will get closer to my rider if I feel like it needs to desperately and very importantly be a one-on-one conversation that does not need to be part of the crowd. confidence issues, emotional stuff. How do I prepare? Well, I am a nervous wreck every time I judge, every time I teach, every time I do a video. I truly am screaming on the inside and shaking. Um, and I love that. That makes me work a little harder. I never feel like I'm going to be good enough. What if today's the day that they realize that I don't know what I'm talking about, or I have a combative rider, or what if I have a really lame horse and I have a rider that is not willing to step off of it? Um, and that's really hard to prepare for. I think as you grow in any aspect of your life, knowing who you are, knowing what your principles are, and knowing your boundaries is really important. And that does help. So I kind of keep bold letters in my head of like what Mindset Equestrian is, what I stand for. And I can always circle back to that if I'm struggling. Also, allow yourself a pause. I chit chat with my riders a lot and I observe a lot. And sometimes like I really don't know where to start. It's either so much going on and I'm trying to pinpoint it, or it's really going well and I'm trying to pinpoint how I can better help that rider or that horse in that situation. And I think allowing a pause is good. Um, I was taught in Germany that we should never have a moment of pause. You should always be talking. And I learned over the past probably 3 years that that can be overwhelming to riders. And having a pause where they can think through it is really important, because as an instructor, I want to make sure that when I leave a rider, they have the tools to ride without me present. And they don't get those tools if I'm always chattering.
How hard is it to become a schooling show judge?
When it comes to judging, there are different types of judges, right? There's different types of dressage judges. I am an L graduate. I'm not an L graduate with distinction. Generally, they allow 10 in a course, which lasts almost 2 years, and you have to be at shows that you would normally be making money at, coaching or riding at. So you have to sacrifice a lot, plus the amount of money to get into it. But basically, the qualifications to become an L graduate are that you need basically your bronze medal. You need to have scores through third level dressage. You have to have a ton of recommendations from other judges, other riders, scribing hours. It's really important that you kind of know the ins and outs of all aspects of the show. I highly recommend volunteering, so that you kind of know what every job description should be and how a show can be run really poorly, really new, or really, really successfully. I think it's really important always to get every aspect that you possibly can in your toolbox. I started out as an open show judge, so I did like the round and round stuff at local shows. I was certified for Western, Hunter Jumper, Hunter Under Saddle, and Gated. And those are really, really long days, and they're not as big of a paycheck as the L program. And I mean, as a judge, you can kind of play the ring however you need to, if it needs to go long, if it needs to go short, however they can hold the gate. So it can be a really long day. As a dressage judge, we are capped on how much we can make. Should. And then there's tier steps on the way up. So a small R is basically the same thing. They can judge through second level at a recognized show. That's again another year and a half, 2 years of school and skipping shows so that you can be going through class at shows. The same with the Western dressage. They're very specific on when they allow people to kind of join the program. I know the rules have changed a little bit, and then the final is at the World Show. And unfortunately, I've got too many clients going to these shows that I haven't really been able to branch into the Western dressage judging. However, I can judge it at a schooling show.
What are the first steps going into a brand new show season, and how to prepare for an upcoming show?
How would I prepare for an up and coming show for a rider or horse, and or how do I prepare for an up and coming show season? I always show down from what we're training, and I always encourage riders to train up. I think a lot of times people think the ceiling is low and only aim for here, but keep going. Remember, dressage is training the whole way through. So have the more tools you can have, let's do them. I think a lot of people miss out on riding with others. A lot of people, their time is really important and valuable, and so they miss opportunities to take the horses off the property in the winter, to trail ride and get the horse acclimated outside the arena, to go to a group ride of some sort where there's a bit of chaos, potentially take their horses to an open show or a fair type situation where there is chaos, and see how your horse is going to handle it. Do I need to really monitor the ulcer guards? Do I need to have things that soothe this horse instead of throwing a ton of money out at a horse show and finding out your horse gets really stressed off the property or really struggles in the warm up with other horses? I think it's really, really beneficial to take the time to kind of think about every nuance of showing and how can I make sure that my partner is comfortable and that I am comfortable going forward to the show. I have no problem with people kind of going to the showgrounds and seeing what the showgrounds are like. Where's the water? What's the footing like? What's the stall like? Where's the warm up? And I also think too many people don't go with their trainers as grooms or assistants enough. They want it all for themselves. And it's very important that you know where you're going, because you're bringing a partner that has no clue what's going on. They just load it into a box and now they're unloading from the box. And you're their guide. You're their tour guide through that show series. So it's really important that you kind of check all the boxes, that you and that horse have a good rhythm and a good partnership, and that you can kind of explain where we're going and what we're doing.
How do you want to spread positive education amongst the equine community?
Right now, we are doing a small business 10-day giveaway on social media. This is early November 2025. And that's one way that I am working on Mindset Equestrian sharing to the community. Is I know how hard it is to start a small business. I know how hard it is to stay afloat in a small business and to continue to think through and learn and grow and push yourself through difficulties. And I'm using my platform, Mindset Equestrian, as an opportunity for other small businesses to grow, and we all get to meet each other. Within that community, I hope we can all kind of grow and share ideas amongst ourselves, share products amongst ourselves. I'm really hoping that more riders potentially even join our subscription page or follow me on other platforms. I think social media is a really great way that we can all stay together and learn from each other. I am constantly making sure I'm following educational platforms, both in speech and in business and in mindset, as well as riding. So I work hard to make sure that Mindset Equestrian is a movement that is a communal movement, that we can all come together. And there's some breeds and disciplines that are a little bit more guarded, but I'm hoping to break into them as well as worldwide eventually.
What inspired you by creating Mindset Equestrian?
What a great question. Mindset Equestrian was a life choice. I was Red Letter Farm for 20 plus years. I owned a farm, satellite farm, and my husband, my daughter, and I decided to give it up so that I could travel more and she could be more independent and less kind of honed down on a farm. We decided that we had to sacrifice and give up everything we currently had to grow. And I also felt very insignificant, heavy, weak, and not good enough in a lot of rooms that I was in. Still do, by the way. And I didn't want people to feel that themselves. So I figured I would start on social media to let them know that they weren't the only one who had those feelings. And luckily, Mindset Equestrian grew into positive education in and amongst the equine community, all breeds, disciplines, shapes, and abilities, because anyone should be able to be in this community. Anyone should be able to do well in this community. And what does well mean? Well means that you and your horse are navigating well together, that you're starting to understand your horse and how your body works and how their body works. And repetition and teaching your horse how to do something or accomplishing anything. And that might even be just showing up at the barn and sitting in the car right now because you're mentally just struggling to get out of bed. You made it to the barn today. Tomorrow, maybe you can make it out of the car. Those minor steps. I think Mindset Equestrian also is, I chat with Boyd Martin and his wife Silva, and they're very kind people, but their understanding of like a normal day is completely different than someone with massive depression who struggles to get out of bed and who really just wants to ride, walk, trot around on a really nice, simple, steady Eddie horse. And I think it's really important that we all kind of learn that, there's this mindset and then there's another mindset, and we can all exist amongst each other.
How long have you been working with horses? Thank you, Karen, for taking your time to answer these questions. And once again, it's a honor to have you on Equestrian Connect's interview.
So my second birthday, my parents took me for a Western lesson back in near Madison, North Carolina. Place is still there, and they ended up buying horses shortly thereafter, and we've stayed riding. I did Western, local Western, got into like open show Western in English, did a little bit of hunter jumper, got into eventing just because the barn that I was at did eventing, and I was always really good at dressage. Um, and it's just grown since then. I can't imagine a day where we're not talking about horses or doing something with horses. It's a lifestyle. We live it and breathe it. It's truly a passion. I mean, this man's interview like was brilliant. Oh, there's some he talks about passion, and how privileged we are to be in this community and be with each other and our horses in this community. Even on the worst days, we are privileged to be able to do this. And yeah, I mean, I was a vet assistant for years. I apprenticed with farriers for years. I went to school in Germany on a scholarship, even so that I could continue to learn. I love learning. I think when we start shutting our mind off, we're no good to anyone, including ourselves, anymore. Thanks so much, Ivan.